The cake was still in the fridge, untouched. She bought it herself, triple chocolate, the one I usually beg her not to buy because it wrecks my stomach. But she wasn't smiling when she handed me the box. She just said, "Before you open that, there's something else." She placed a thin envelope on top. White, clean, formal. "Don't ruin this, please," she added, stepping back like she'd just defused a bomb. I thought maybe it was a card. Some deeply emotional letter about how hard things had been lately, how we could rebuild. Maybe therapy. Maybe a confession. But inside were legal documents. The words "petition for dissolution of marriage" stared at me, calm and uncaring. They looked like they belonged to someone else's life. "I've already signed," she said, pointing at the final page. "All that's left is you. No warning. No fighting. No anniversary of mistakes. Just done." She didn't cry. Neither did I. Instead, I asked, "Why today?" Her voice barely cracked when she answered, "Because it's the only date you'd remember." She turned around and walked down the hallway. No suitcase. No overnight bag. Just her car keys and a purse that looked far too empty. The door closed. And for a moment, I thought I had died. Not metaphorically. I mean, my skin went cold. My ears started ringing. I was so still, even the house seemed confused. That envelope might as well have contained a death certificate. Because whatever I thought we were, whatever I thought I was, just expired in front of me. I sat back. Not on a chair. On the floor. I stared at the cake. Thought about eating it. Thought about throwing it. Thought about calling someone. But I didn't move. Hours passed. At some point, the sun disappeared, and I didn't notice. My phone buzzed. Then again. 10 times total. 10 missed calls from people I hadn't spoken to in months. Maybe years. Coworkers. Old friends. Her cousin, strangely. Each of them left a voicemail. Each one changed everything. I didn't listen to the voicemails right away. At first, I just stared at the notification, 10 new messages, all from numbers I either barely recognized or had forgotten even existed. I thought maybe it was a glitch. Maybe something had happened to her, and this was all part of a sick misunderstanding. Maybe someone had died and this was her twisted way of processing grief. But then I pressed play. The first voicemail was from Marvin, a guy I used to carpool with back when I worked nights in Hammond. I hadn't seen him in almost 4 years. He sounded unsure. "Hey, Lowell. Not sure if this is still your number, but listen, I don't know if you and Junie are still together, but I saw her last weekend. And I thought you should know, never mind. Forget it." He hung up before finishing. My stomach twisted. That alone would have kept me up all night, but I kept listening. Voicemail 2 was from Junie's cousin, Elena, the one she used to call a buzzkill. "Lowell, I didn't want to get involved, but she's been lying to you for months. You should check the hotel charges. And the condo in Southport. If you still think the conference in Miami was real." "I'm sorry, but it wasn't." I dropped the phone. Not set it down. Dropped it. Southport? We didn't own any property there. We barely managed our mortgage as it was. The third message was shorter. Just a man's voice I didn't recognize. "She's not who you think she is. And she's not done yet." Then a click. I played the rest of them on speaker, pacing around the kitchen like a ghost. The messages blurred into each other. Faces from the past warning me about the present. Co-workers of hers. An old neighbor. Even someone from her gym, a woman who barely knew me, but still had enough conscience to say, "You deserve to know what she's doing when you think she's in Pilates." But the 10th message, that one paralyzed me. It was my brother's voice. "Harlan, we hadn't spoken in nearly a year. Not after that Thanksgiving disaster when he accused Junie of being a manipulator and stormed out of dinner. I defended her. Told him he was bitter and paranoid. Cut him off. Blocked him. But now here he was. "Lowell, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from. But I've been sitting on this too long. I should have told you months ago. There's a man named Tyler. Works at some boutique agency near Broad Ripple. She's been seeing him behind your back. And I'm not guessing, I followed them. I saw it myself. I have photos." He paused, then said something I'll never forget. "She told him she was just waiting for your birthday to make it official. Said it would be symbolic. She even laughed about it." I sat down on the floor again. Same spot. Same cold tile under my legs. This time, I didn't stare at cake. I stared at myself reflected in the black screen of the oven. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stayed very, very still. And then, for the first time in years, I let a part of me ask the question I always shoved deep down. Had I really ever known her at all? The strange thing was, the pain didn't come in one giant wave like I expected. It came in small, humiliating ripples. The time I paid for her weekend retreat while skipping my dental work. The Sunday mornings I made her coffee before her Zoom calls. The way she'd come back from conferences with brand new shoes and say she found them on clearance. All of it, lies layered over lies, wrapped in smiles and polished with empty kisses. The man I was that morning, the one sitting at the kitchen table in birthday pajamas, hoping for affection, he had been dead long before the papers arrived. She just picked a day to bury him. But the strangest thing? As I sat there, 10 voicemails burned into my memory. I didn't feel angry yet. I felt a challenge. Because if she was going to choose that day to end me, then I was going to choose that same day to start again. She thought I had no worth. It was time to prove how wrong she was. And it only took 10 calls to do it. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the couch, not because I was too heartbroken to climb into bed, but because the bed felt like hers. Everything did. The coffee machine, the scent of eucalyptus in the bathroom, even the damn throw pillows she insisted we buy last Christmas. It all whispered her name like some cruel lullaby. By 6 a.m., I was still wide awake, my body exhausted but my mind a hurricane. I couldn't stop thinking about what Elena had said in her voicemail. The condo in Southport. That wasn't just a throwaway detail. That was something I could verify. So I started digging. I knew she used the same 3 passwords for everything. I'd known it for years, a combo of her old college ID, her dog's name from childhood, and the number 14, which, now that I think of it, was my birthday. Within 15 minutes, I was in her Gmail. There were hundreds of unread emails, most of them promotions, client bookings, subscriptions. But I filtered by keywords. Southport. Lease. Rental agreement. And there it was. A signed digital lease agreement from 4 months ago. She had listed herself and another occupant, Tyler S. Not her brother. Not a cousin. Just Tyler S. They were splitting the rent. $2,600 a month. The deposit was paid from our joint account. I felt like someone kicked me straight in the chest. Not because she was cheating, I already knew that, but because she used my money to build her new life with someone else, before she even told me ours was over. I didn't scream. I didn't punch a wall. I just sat there, stunned by the audacity. The cold, calculated timeline. The way she set this all up like it was a project plan. Her exit strategy had footnotes and calendar invites. I copied the lease to a USB stick. I wasn't sure why, part survival instinct, part something else I couldn't name yet. Then I called the landlord. I didn't expect him to answer, but he did, groggy and probably halfway through a donut. Yeah, he mumbled. I introduced myself. Told him I had some questions about the Southport condo. He hesitated. Are you Tyler? No. I'm Lowell. Juniper's husband. Long silence. Then he exhaled like a man who knew this day was coming. That explains a lot. He didn't give me details. I could tell he was nervous, but he let one thing slip that changed everything. They've already moved in. 2 weeks ago. That meant she moved in before the divorce papers. She was sleeping in that place, probably next to him, while I was still bringing her lunch during her late work hours. I ended the call and sat back, heart pounding with something that wasn't quite rage, not yet, but also wasn't sadness anymore. Then I did something I never imagined I'd do. I drove there. I don't know what I was hoping to find. Closure? Proof? Some grotesque sense of curiosity to see the man she'd replaced me with? The building was clean. Modern. Way above what we could afford without stretching. They had a private garage, a rooftop deck. Not a trace of our life in sight. I parked across the street and waited. 20 minutes passed. Then I saw her. Junie came out wearing sunglasses and a ponytail, dressed casually, no makeup, no heels, no pretense. She looked younger, lighter. She looked like someone who hadn't just ripped the soul out of a marriage. And behind her, barefoot, holding a to-go coffee tray, was a man. Tall, shaggy hair, easy smile. Tyler S. They got into his car. He leaned over and kissed her on the cheek before starting the engine. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. I didn't follow. I couldn't. Instead, I sat there, numb, watching them disappear together like a scene from a movie I'd been edited out of. It was weird. I didn't hate her. Not yet. What I felt was worse. I felt replaceable. Like all those years meant nothing. Like I was just a placeholder until the right man arrived. And for the first time, I began to wonder, was this really just betrayal? Or had I been a character in someone else's story this entire time? And if so, who the hell was I outside of her? I should have gone home. Instead, I drove to the bank. I sat in the parking lot for a while, watching people move in and out like everything was normal. Like someone's wife hadn't just used her husband's money to rent a love nest. When I finally walked in, the manager recognized me. We'd opened our joint account there 10 years ago, back when we were just starting out. Optimistic, broke, dumb in love. I even remember Junie joking that she'd only stay married to me if I never overdraft more than twice a year. I should have known even then. Love, for her, was a contract with terms. I asked to go through our recent statements. I needed more than the lease. I needed the full picture. The numbers that would confirm the timeline. The quiet theft behind my back. There it was. 5 transfers, each for exactly $2,000. All labeled as consulting fees. All to the same account. At first, I thought it was business. But the account belonged to a man named Jared C. Brennan. Not Tyler S. Not a coworker. Not anyone I'd ever heard of. I asked the manager if I could get a printout of just those 5 transactions. She hesitated, said she'd have to check with Juniper, since it was a shared account. But I must have looked so defeated, so empty, she just printed them without asking. I took the pages and left. Jared C. Brennan. The name ran loops in my head the whole drive home. When I got there, I searched it. At first, nothing. Then I added Indianapolis to the query. Bingo. An art director. Freelance. Recently tagged in photos from a private gallery opening. And in one of those pictures, barely cropped out of the frame, was Junie's scarf. I knew it. I bought it for her birthday 2 years ago. I clicked on the photographer's profile and messaged him. Didn't even hesitate. Hey, random question. Do you know the guy in this photo? Jared? Trying to get in touch. He responded 20 minutes later. Yeah, I do his branding work. He's kind of a weird dude. You his agent or something? I told him I was his former accountant, which wasn't a total lie. I had definitely funded his lifestyle at this point. He gave me an email. I wasn't sure what I was going to say. I had no real plan. But I wrote something short and strange, like my entire life in that moment. Jared, we may have a woman in common. I don't want to fight. I want a conversation. He replied an hour later. What's her name? I sent back one word. Juniper. The dots appeared almost immediately. You're her husband? I blinked. Wait, you didn't know about me? I thought she was divorced already. I sat there, staring at that last message, as the final puzzle piece twisted into place. She was playing him, too. The Tyler situation wasn't a fluke. It wasn't even an isolated affair. This wasn't about her falling for someone else. This was a pattern. A game. She had multiple men, each thinking they were the center of her world. Each of them probably handing over money, time, pieces of themselves, and all of us fooled by the same smile, the same voice, the same expert choreography. But then Jared messaged again. She told me she left you last fall. She said you were controlling, emotionally unstable, that you screamed at her in public, that you threatened to ruin her career. None of that's true, is it? I didn't reply. I didn't need to defend myself to him. Instead, I just sent one photo, the divorce papers she'd given me on my birthday, still unsigned, with the date clearly visible in the corner. May 14th. Then I wrote, she was still married to me 5 days ago. No response. Not for an hour. Then, meet me. Tomorrow. If you're serious. I have something you need to see. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if it was a trap, or a weird form of masculine bonding, or some mutual humiliation session. But I said yes. Because whatever this mess was, I was done being the quiet fool in the corner. It was time someone turned the lights on in Junie's house of mirrors. We met at a place neither of us belonged in. A rundown diner just off I-65, where the Formica tables were chipped, the air smelled like fryer oil and bleach, and the only people inside were truckers too tired to care, who overheard their problems. It was neutral ground. Anonymous. Jared arrived 10 minutes late. I recognized him the moment he walked in. Not because I'd seen his photo online, but because he looked like someone who'd been lied to by the same woman I had. That look isn't something you fake. It's hollow, but sharp around the edges. He carried a black messenger bag and avoided eye contact until he slid into the booth across from me. No handshake, just a nod. She told me you were an alcoholic, he said quietly, as if still trying to reconcile what he was seeing. I didn't respond. I just watched him unzip the bag and pull out a folder. He slid it across the table. Everything's in there, he said. Screenshots, messages, bank transfers, some voice memos. Stuff she sent me. Stuff she didn't know I kept. I opened the folder with hands that didn't feel like mine. Inside were printed screenshots of texts, all between him and Junie. Some from months ago, some from just 2 weeks back. And I recognized the tone immediately. The way she flattered. The way she twisted phrases just enough to sound like emotional intimacy without actually saying anything. She told Jared the same things she told me in the beginning, word for word. I've never felt seen like this before. I think I'm finally free. My husband never supported me. Not like you do. I kept flipping through. Then came the receipts, Uber rides she billed to a shared account, dinner tabs signed in her maiden name. Then the audio. Jared handed me a pair of cheap earbuds and queued up a recording on his phone. I didn't mean to record it, he said. But we were in the car, and I hit voice memo by accident. She was on the phone with someone. Another guy. You can hear it. I pressed play. At first, just static. Then Junie's voice. Light, flirtatious, barely above a whisper. You don't have to worry about him. He's harmless. Emotionally soft. He folds when I need him to. A pause. I'm still milking the shared account. He hasn't caught on yet. As soon as it's dry, I'll finish the papers. Then laughter. I took the earbuds out. Do you know who she was talking to? I asked, my voice lower than I expected. He shook his head. No. But it wasn't me. So there was a third one. Or fourth. Or who knows? At this point, we were just dots on her chessboard. Men who thought we were kings, when really we were pawns she slid into place for convenience. And yet, the worst part wasn't that she cheated. It was that she did it so comfortably. So professionally. As if betrayal was her fluency. I loved her, Jared said, looking out the window. And I'm not ashamed of that. But I can't keep pretending she's just broken. She's dangerous. He turned back to me. She told me she had a plan. That she was building her future with the right man this time. I thought it was me. But now? I don't even think she cares who the man is. As long as he gives her what she wants. I didn't say much after that. He left first, handing me the folder like it was a file in a court case neither of us had asked to be part of. I stayed in the booth long after he was gone. Ordered coffee I didn't drink. Watched rain start to blur the parking lot outside. And for the first time in my life, I asked myself a question I'd never dared to before. What if Junie wasn't broken? What if she was just good at this? Because it was becoming more and more obvious, I wasn't the only man she had fooled. But I might be the only one left with proof. And that meant one thing. She'd be coming for me next. 3 days passed after the meeting with Jared, and silence hung over everything like a gas leak. You can't see it, but you know it's going to blow. I didn't text Junie. She didn't call me either. I didn't expect her to. I figured she was too busy pivoting to her next victim or rewriting the narrative. But what I didn't expect was the email, not from her, but from my boss. Subject line. Need to speak urgently. I thought maybe they needed documents for payroll or something small. But when I walked into his office, he was pale. Laptop open. A screenshot pulled up. And in it, a paragraph written by my wife. Sent from her personal account to my entire department. The email accused me of emotional abuse. Said I was volatile, erratic, deeply unstable. Claimed I had a pattern of manipulation, that I made dangerous threats after she asked for a divorce. She said she was concerned for her safety and wanted it on record in case she needed to involve authorities. I could barely speak. My boss didn't say much. He just looked at me with a mixture of worry and confusion, like he was trying to decide if I was who he thought I was. Lowell, he said quietly, do I need to be worried about this? All I could do was shake my head. I told him it wasn't true. That we were splitting, sure, but I'd never laid a hand on her. Never even raised my voice. That she was the one who blindsided me, that she had other men, lies, layers of deceit. He didn't respond to that. He just sighed and closed the laptop. I left work early. Not because I was in trouble, at least not officially, but because I realized something terrifying. She wasn't just ending the marriage. She was erasing me. Replacing the real me with a version she could control even after walking out the door. And the worst part? Some people would believe her. Because the first voice people hear is often the one that sticks. And she had fired the first shot publicly, strategically. I wasn't angry. I was dismantled. My identity, not just as a husband, but as a person, was now under question. And the weapon she used? Words. Just words. So clean. So damaging. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, same spot, same silence, and opened the folder Jared had given me again. I needed to think like her. If she was laying groundwork, that meant she was afraid. Of me. Of what I had. And that gave me something back I didn't even know I'd lost. Leverage. I uploaded everything. Jared gave me: audio, texts, screenshots, receipts. I created a private folder online, password protected. Then I added my own, our joint bank statements, the lease to the Southport condo, copies of her business emails I'd backed up months ago without even thinking. Not because I wanted revenge. I didn't. I wanted truth. Proof. I needed something solid in case this went legal. And part of me, I'll admit, wanted her to know I wasn't the fool she thought I was. Then I called the only person who might still be neutral, Elena, her cousin, the one who left the voicemail about the hotel. She answered after 2 rings. I didn't ask how she was. I didn't waste time. She sent an email to my work. Called me abusive. Elena didn't sound surprised. She exhaled, not shocked, not outraged. Just tired. She said she'd do that, Elena said quietly. She told her mom you were going to smear her, so she had to get ahead of it. She thinks if she controls the version of you people here, she wins. I felt my throat tighten. Why would she do this? After everything? Elena paused. Because if she's not the victim, she has to be the villain. And Junie's not the kind of woman who survives being the villain. We were both silent for a while. Then I asked, did she ever love me? Elena's voice didn't crack, but it turned to glass. I think she loved how much you loved her. And when that wasn't enough, she started collecting new hearts like trophies. I leaned back in the chair, staring at the ceiling, and let those words land. This wasn't just betrayal. This was reputation arson. She wasn't leaving me. She was making sure no one else ever wanted me again. A slow, elegant social execution. But I had something she didn't know yet. And it wasn't a folder. It was clarity. And with that, I knew this story wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I waited 4 days before I did anything. Not because I was scared, though I was, but because I needed time to think like her. Junie didn't play for reconciliation. She played for narrative. And if she wanted to turn my silence into guilt, I would use her noise as fuel. I wrote something I never thought I would. Not a blog post. Not a text. An open letter. Just 3 pages. One voice. No rage. No venom. Just facts. I called it My Side of the Story, and I didn't post it anonymously. I signed my full name, uploaded screenshots of financial transfers, included voice logs with identifying timestamps. I blurred Jared's last name but quoted his words with permission. I made it personal, yes, but not emotional. I didn't paint her as a monster. I didn't beg for pity. I told people how it started, how I found out, and what I discovered. And then I posted it. On Reddit first, then LinkedIn, then Medium. I didn't expect traction. I just needed my voice to exist somewhere beyond her version. I left comments off. No debates. No drama. Just light. It blew up by noon. Hundreds of views. Then thousands. Former colleagues shared it. One of her old classmates, someone I'd never met, messaged me saying, I always wondered how she got away with it. Now I know. That night, I received an email from our old couples therapist. She hadn't seen us in 2 years, but she said she remembered our sessions vividly. She wrote, I always knew something was off. You kept trying. She kept performing. It should have felt like victory. But then came the real twist. I was walking out of the grocery store that same night when a man approached me in the parking lot. Hoodie up. Sunglasses. He moved with a strange mix of nervous energy and calculated calm. Lowell? He asked. I tensed. Yeah. He pulled off the sunglasses. His face was weirdly familiar, though I didn't recognize him. My name's Shane, he said. You don't know me, but I know your wife. I didn't speak. Just watched him. He continued. She dated my brother last year, while she was still with you. His name was Carter. She told him she was divorced, that you were abusive, that she was rebuilding her life. He believed her. She moved into his place for 6 months. I swallowed. 6 months. He nodded. Then she disappeared. Left a note saying she needed to focus on herself. Carter found out a week later that she'd already moved in with someone else. Different guy. Same story. My legs were locked in place, like I'd been cemented to the asphalt. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. Junie, smiling at some event. Her hand wrapped around a man who looked uncannily like me. Similar build. Similar hair. Same kind of laugh in his eyes. She has a type, Shane muttered. Men who remind her of you. Or maybe, men who replace you just enough. I stood there stunned. It wasn't just the cheating. It was the precision. The replication. She was building versions of me elsewhere. In other lives, other cities, other lies. Like she needed my face, but not my soul. And then Shane said something that landed like a steel beam across the back of my neck. She called him Lowell once. By accident. My heart dropped. He looked me in the eye. She's not trying to erase you. She's trying to recreate you. Over and over. In someone easier to manipulate. I don't remember how I got home that night. I remember the wind through the window. The streetlights. But not the drive itself. My brain was somewhere else. Stuck on that one haunting idea. What if she doesn't want freedom? What if she just wants to own a softer version of me again and again? When I got inside, my phone buzzed. A private number. I answered. Junie's voice was calm. Too calm. You've had your fun, she said. Take it down. I didn't answer. She continued. I have a lawyer now. Keep slandering me, and I'll make sure your name is buried in litigation for years. You'll lose everything. Your job. Your insurance. Your apartment. Is that what you want? Still, I didn't speak. Because in that moment, I realized something. She wasn't calling me because she was scared of losing her dignity. She was calling because, for the first time in her life, she was afraid of losing control. And control was all she'd ever truly loved. Her threat rang in my ears all night. Not because I believed she could ruin me, but because it proved how little she'd changed. When charm failed, she weaponized fear. And when fear wasn't enough, she threatened to drag me through a war I never even wanted to fight. But by that morning, I wasn't afraid anymore. I had something she couldn't reach anymore: perspective. I took a walk through the neighborhood. The same streets where she and I once jogged, hand in hand, pretending we were better than we were. The same corner where she said she wanted kids. The same front porch where we sat one summer, promising we'd grow old together, lies wrapped in candlelight. I stopped in front of the mailbox, holding an envelope I'd been staring at all morning, the signed divorce papers. This time, I wasn't hesitating. I dropped them in and didn't look back. Later that day, I met with a lawyer. A good one. Calm. Focused. He reviewed everything I had. The folder, the financial proof, the recordings, and said one sentence I'll never forget. You're not in a fight. You're in a transition. Let me handle the fight. I left his office feeling 20 pounds lighter. That same night, I received a text from Jarrett. She moved out of the Southport condo. No forwarding address. Vanished again. Then Elena called. She sounded relieved. You ended it, didn't you? Yeah, I said. For real this time. And then she said something that almost made me break. Lowell, I hope you know none of this defines you. You were just the only one strong enough to stand still while she came undone. Weeks passed. The open letter stayed up. She never sued. She never apologized, either. I didn't expect her to. She wasn't built for truth. She was built for exit strategies and illusion. But I stopped waiting for closure from her. Because closure didn't come in a text or a confession. It came the day I stepped into my new apartment. A small place, nothing fancy, but mine, and unpacked the last box without thinking of her once. It came when I picked up the phone and called my brother Harlan. After everything, after the fight, after the silence. And all I said was, you were right. He didn't gloat. He just said, you still got time to write a better chapter. And I believed him. It came when I started doing things I used to love before she asked me to tone them down. Sketching, late-night walks, weird jazz playlists no one else understood. I even started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to make sure I never gave my voice away again. And most surprisingly, it came in the form of a woman I met at a bookstore 2 months later. Her name's Dana. She didn't ask about my past on the first date. She didn't need a dramatic story. She just smiled like I was someone worth knowing, not someone who needed fixing or proving. She liked that I was quiet. Said it made her feel safe. And for the first time in what felt like years, I believed someone meant that. So here I am now, months later, no longer trying to win back something that was never real, no longer afraid of who believes what. And if you're reading this because someone left you in the dirt and dared to call it your grave, let me say this clearly. You are not the worst thing someone said about you behind your back. You are not the story they're telling without your permission. You're still the author. And the next chapter? It's yours.